I was just looking, we've got 16, 37. I don't know if you're gonna manage. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry.
All right, Dawn's live, so we'll see how this works. Hang on your horses.
Oh, we don't want to leave me. No, I just wanted to close the chat.
Can everybody hear okay?
I think she's sitting there. I am.
All right, so again, just as the people that arrived late, we're going with no video currently at the banquet hall because we tested it about 15 minutes ago and it literally has freeze frame. Audio is better than nothing.
Absolutely. Thanks for doing this, Greg.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, and we're streaming Facebook Live right now too, so let's go. Maybe.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. Welcome to the May 17th, 2021 Valparaiso Rotary Club meeting, where we grow diverse leaders for local service and global impact through meaningful and dynamic connections. I just want to say it's wonderful to see all of you here. Our Zoom participants too. Glad to have you with us on this Monday. As we all know, we've been celebrating Valparaiso Rotary Club's 100th anniversary. And another fun fact from those prior years, since 1982, the Valparaiso Rotary Club has presented one of our club members with the 4-Way Test Award. This award is designed to honor the individual who has most actively demonstrated the principles of the 4-Way test over the course of the previous Rotary year. It is presented at the club's Changing of the Guard banquet each June, which this year is June 30th. The club's president chooses and awards the Rotarian for their service. I would like to thank Doug Busby as our greeter today, and also Mary Jo Jamie and Greg Farrell for bringing us together in person and by Zoom. And Rick Amron too. I would now, if you could join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we will ask Rick Herschel to sing the National Anthem for us.
Close and you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Diane Joyner, invocation.
We pray this morning and we ask thee to bless the animals of the earth, the lush gardens of the farmers and the fields of the crops. Bless this planting season with every seed and saplings coated with your touch. Allow there to be enough growth for all the people to eat and enjoy. Aid the clean air to clean the viruses out of this world and to give strength to those who are aiding those who suffer. Help us to appreciate what you have provided for us and encourage us to be generous with our supply. We thank thee for the loveliness that springtime brings and ask you to take us forward in this season, lead us in our jobs and in our callings, and help us to be strong and resourceful and grateful and always looking for more ways that we can serve. We pray in thy name.
Thank you, Diane. Rick Amron, visiting Rotarians and guests.
Good afternoon, everyone. Would Jim Spanopoulos and his guests please stand? Jim's guest today is Denise Heipke. She's the CEO at the Caring Place. Please say hello to Denise. Would Diane Jortner and her guest please stand? Diane's guest is Larry Jortner. He's an attorney at CNA Surety. Please say hello to Larry. Larry. Thanks.
Rick, and welcome to our guests. Thanks for joining us today. We have the induction of a new member. Would Jamie Wolf and her sponsor, Jane, come forward?
It is really nice to be back and see everybody in person. So I got an email one day from Jean Novello. Jane, I've got this great lead for you for a new member for Rotary. So I'm going to let Jamie tell you a little bit about what she does. And we want to thank Jean Novello for bringing us Jamie.
Hello. Currently, I am a branch manager for Tech Credit Union. I've been with them for about 9 years. Next Monday, I start over in the loans department in our corporate as a manager of underwriters, consumer loans, home equities. So it'll be a great, opportunity. I graduated from Purdue, and I have 2 masters from Keller Graduate School of Management. And I have a 17-year-old son who has about 8 days left of his junior year, and then he'll be a senior, and I will cry. But I'm happy to be here with all of you guys and excited to see what the future holds.
Has a little lump of goodie bag for you. Absolutely, that would be great. All right, Mary Jo Jamie, Sergeant at Arms.
All right, it's my first time being sergeant, so throw tomatoes if you must. I'm filling in for Rob. He texted me. I know with COVID and working at Walgreens, Rob has not been able to be present. Do I start with birthdays and anniversaries or good news? Birthdays and anniversaries, right? No, good news? Want to vote? Just kidding. All right, birthdays and anniversaries. We have Greg Ketchuk. I got it. It's his birthday this month. Jane Maxwell, who I want to be when I grow up. Stuart McMillan, sorry. Matt Murphy, good old mayor's birthday this month. John Reed, Mark Ritzy, and Jason Schwartz, Scott Yanni. Those are the birthdays. Anniversaries: Silva DeVarge, Kevin Kosak, Richard Lemire, emphasis on the wrong syllable. Ruth Phillips, Deborah Pressel, David Ross, and Timothy Warner. Thanks to Timothy Warner's wife, my daughter fit in her dress. Thank you. So now, good news. Uh-oh, hold on. She's still swallowing.
Yeah, I was. I actually, just
is the Polio Plus money from the Morgan Interact Club, and I don't see Tim here. So
Give it to Greg.
yes. Okay, John, I need my back back. Yeah,
They can take what's in
the
it.
money's all loose. Yeah. So I'm sorry, Deb, that's a donation for from the Morgan Interact Club for the Polio Plus.
Okay.
Fundraiser.
Awesome.
That you all helped with.
A couple of weeks ago, I spent a few days in Scottsdale, Arizona for the Fiesta Bowl annual spring summit. And one of the highlights of that is that Nike always gives us several gifts in the sweater. I have one today as one of them.
Andrew Lucas, good news.
Sure. So I would like to congratulate Doug and Barb and all the other people that worked on the Rotary Library Garden fundraising project. At the grand opening last week was an amazing facility, and I know that committee overachieved on raising funds, which is amazing. So how about a round of applause, everybody?
What's interesting now is 6 girls, 6 boys. Anybody that missed this, I don't want to even White Sox.
Love it. Go White Sox. Big White Sox fan. All right. Any other good news? All right. Just as an ode to Larry, does anybody have any bad news? We always have bad news, right? So the only, I found out I was going to be sergeant for the first time today. So I've been trying to think about what I could share with you guys that's unique. And I have recently been diagnosed with celiac disease. And not a lot of people understand celiac disease, so I thought I'd give you a few facts that are kind of stunning, I think. So celiac disease is an intolerance to gluten, and gluten is a protein in rye, wheat, and barley. So I can't have any good beer. That really sucks. However, I'm all right because you can have anything that's fermented. So I figure it out. Besides that, gluten it's a binding agent. It's in all toothpaste except Crest brand. Who knew? There's very specific chapsticks that don't have it, that you have.
Did anybody else just lose sound?
Yeah, sorry, Dawn just muted for some reason out of nowhere, so I'm asking her to unmute. So sorry about that. Just hang tight, guys. MJ was running the computer and she's now up at the podium, so probably not gonna happen until she gets off a sergeant.
Is it being videoed, Greg?
Is what being reviewed?
Is the program, is somebody taking a video we can watch later?
Yeah, I'm recording it, but you're not gonna have any video from the banquet hall because of the bandwidth. So right now it's just talking and she just muted for some reason. So I'll get her
Okay,
to unmute in 2 seconds, but she's got to get off the podium.
okay. No, I was wondering if somebody on the spot is taking a video which could then later be shown.
No, we tried it with the camera, but there's just not enough bandwidth. It literally glitches and it was going to make a completely worthless meeting
Okay.
for all of us in Zoom world.
Mhm.
It just wasn't going to work. I'll get her to unmute.
correct and opportunities at Ivy Tech and PNW. Now, I know the students are probably gone for the summer, but just remember that as students start to go back on campus, we do have those opportunities at Ivy Tech and PNW for them to become a part of a Rotary Club. And now Doug Mock has an announcement.
Thank you, Dawn. Andrew kind of stole my thunder, but I'm going to expound on it. If you were at the grand opening of the Rotary Library Garden, I'm sure you agree with me, it was a wonderful event and well attended. And I do want to shout out to Dawn. Her remarks are right on. I mean, it put Rotary in the limelight, not only Valpo Rotary, but Rotary International. And so I think that we'll get some good exposure to that. So thank you, Dawn, for that. If you weren't there, you can go to our Facebook page. The recording of that and its entirety is on there. So speaking of that, I do want to again thank the Centennial Committee. If you're on the Centennial Committee, would you stand and we can recognize each one of you? Barb, well, there's some more here, isn't there? Only two of you? Deb? No, Don. Yeah, okay. There was about 10 of us on the committee and the rest of them aren't here. If their hard work, we wouldn't be able to pull this off. And so it was great working with them. But our work is not over. Thanks to the generous donations by individual Rotarian members, we have money left over. And we don't know exactly how much, but it's sizable once the dust settles and we know what all our expenses are covered. So I just only want to announce that we are looking for ideas for other projects in the city that we could partner with and commemorate our 100th anniversary. I had one submitted already, but we want to welcome all of them and any ideas that they would have, just send me an email. So thank you.
Now, Deb Wappel would like to say a few words about our centennial celebration coming up next month.
Wait, hold on. Microphone, please, just for the online folks. I'm getting information from Greg that you can't hear anything unless you're on the microphone online. Sorry. Spot on.
Okay, during our PETS training for President-elect's training for next year, the district is talking about some clubs are adding to the end of the 4-week test. Is it fun? So at our celebration on June 30th, several of us have gotten together to plan a great event for our 100th year anniversary. It will begin with the changing of the guard, which will be a little condensed version this year, and then dinner and a slight of short review, brief review of our history, and it will be presented in a fun way. And we have this really lively band coming, and they're going to help us with our history review and with the people who will be presenting, which will include several Rotarians. And it's going to be interactive, and hopefully we can highlight each and every Rotarian there. So mark your calendars. Invitations should be in the mail this week. And tickets are available on Eventbrite, eventbrite.com. Search for Valparaiso Rotary Centennial, and you can order your tickets right there and choose your meal option. Okay, any questions? It's June 30th. 5:30. Doors open at 5:30 and program starts at 6. In the weekly emails, I do put the link for the tickets, and I do also have the link that Stu Summers provided on YouTube for the project or the dedication of the library. So if you want to check those out, you can go to the weekly email for those. One more announcement before we get to our speaker, Deb Pressel, with scholarship information. So April's a busy month for the scholarship committee. All the scholarships come in and we start reviewing those, and lots of scholarships to review this year. We have them broken between medical scholarships and non-medical. So there's actually 3 different committees. There's actually a technical committee too. And by the end of April, we awarded $14,000 worth of scholarship money to high school seniors. And we are in the process right now where there's many different individuals that are going out and making these presentations at the high school scholarship night. And it's been great. It's really been fun getting to know these kids. I know our committee, we did an interview with each of them and asked them just several questions, focusing on service above self and just kind of seeing how these kids have served in our community. So really excited to award this money, and then hoping to see them back as a Rotary member someday in the near future. Thank you very much, the foundation and the scholarship committee. All right, Chris Kraus as our speaker today.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see all of you in person, alive and well, and yeah, and have programs in person. So great to see you guys. It's my pleasure today to introduce Mark Mcgill, who is the new Director of Community Engagement at A Rosy Place for Children. Mark has spent the last 30 years in radio, including 20 of those years in Michiana. When he's not working at A Rosy Place, you can still find him filling in as the PA announcer at Wrigley Field for the Chicago Cubs, on Four Winds Field as the on-field MC for the South Bend Cubs, or working as the public address announcer for Notre Dame women's volleyball and for men's and women's lacrosse. Mark lives in Mishawaka with his wife, Julie, 2 daughters, and 3 rescue dogs. So let's have a warm welcome for Mark Mcgill.
Thank you so much. First of all, I know the White Sox are the best team in baseball. I've got that going. I saw you over there. I know that. Unlike Mary Jo, I prefer you don't throw tomatoes at me. If you have extra money, I might know of a place. I'm just saying. That's all I'm gonna say. Who here has heard of A Rosy Place for Children? It's not a trick question. You have, yes. Santerre is a great partner of ours. Little brief history. We're the first and only specialty licensed hospital exclusively designed to serve children who are medically fragile in the state of Indiana. I'll define what that is here in a second. We provide respite for families and sleepovers for children from birth to 21 years of age. So we allow, as you'll see in a couple of videos, we have the children to come just be children and do things that they can't normally do because of their medical fragility. We term medically fragile as any child who requires medical intervention for everyday living. A lot of our children have trachs, feeding tubes, things of that nature, and that makes them medically fragile. It's a very unique section of the healthcare. We serve all 92 counties in the state of Indiana because community matters, and it's a gift. It's no cost to the families. That's something that we work very, very hard on to provide that. They have enough to worry about than paying for our services. And so we work very hard to make sure that it's a gift. I've got a brief video here of just kind of a virtual tour of what our place looks like. I think I have to grab this to have the speaker. So. like a hospital, does it? Like a house. It's by design. We're very intentional. Teal Bishop is with us too. We'll hear from Teal later. She's our CEO. I always say when I'm having a bad day, I think of the contractor that built the Rosie Place with Teal. And she wrote over 60 waivers to the state of Indiana and challenged things like they wanted us to have a fresh water supply. We want this to be an extension of the child's house. And so Teal said, how many houses have a water fountain? Why can't we have Culligan? It's a fresh water source. And they said, well, okay, you can. She said, I don't want fluorescent lighting in the house because how many houses have fluorescent lighting? I want hospital grade, but canned lighting. How come we can't do that? And they're like, well, okay, you can. So I think every time the phone rang, right, Teal? Every time the phone rang for more than 60 times, the contractor of the state just went, she's right, she's right, she's right. So everything is very intentional. Teal's also the parent of a medically fragile child. So she built a Rosie Place through the lens of that. So why do we need a Rosie Place? Parents of medically fragile children are 4 times more likely to experience PTSD compared with parents of healthy children. For parents in here, imagine the the stress and the pressure of raising healthy children, especially when they're teenage daughters. Surprised I'm standing here. I'm not going to lie to you. I raised 2 of them. So then imagine having a medically fragile child and the pressures there. 68% increased divorce rate among parents who have children with disabilities. Again, it makes sense. The pressures and stress of just being a parent in itself. More than half of the parents have stopped working because of their child's health needs. Children with medical complexities are cared for by an average of 13 physicians and 6 subspecialists. And one more video. This is the parents speaking of what a Rosie Place means to them.
When I wake up, I get Brandon out, I give him his medications, I catheterize him, I change his diaper and sometimes his clothes, and then I put him back on his feeding pump for a little while. And that goes every 3 hours, pretty much around the clock.
There's a wake up sometime between 5 and 6. 9 times out of 10, his oxy bag has come off in the middle of the night. He likes to toss and turn and roll around.
Since having Lauren, I think my other 2 kids, we've had to take the back burner a lot. Riley's 15. He should not have to be dependent on to take care of his brother.
My mom will usually get him up, and then we'll get Lauren up off, and we'll get him in his chair, which is a very big struggle because he's getting bigger. We'll feed him. He cannot eat by himself. I usually change him about twice a day. If my mom's not around, I'll be changing him all day.
And it's usually, depending on the day, a service. We have occupational therapy, we have speech, we have behavioral therapy, doctor's appointments. Just every day is a little different. And then go to bed and repeat every day.
These children get to come overnight and have a sleepover for a few days at our place where they can really feel loved and cared for. We provide exceptional nursing care for these children, and it allows the parents to have a rest, a reprieve from the demands of 24-hour care. They're very isolated, these families and children. They're not able to get out much and experience life like most of us do. So we've created this environment that allows them to come and have this exceptional time where they get to create, paint, they get to build friendships, take bubble baths, things that they can't normally do at home. And the most beautiful part about a Rosie Place is because of the generosity of our community, families do not have to pay for this service, for this gift.
We tried to hire nannies and babysitters, and they quit. They interview and say they're excited, and then they don't show up.
There are weeks I wouldn't know how to keep going if I didn't have the break. The first time we brought Brandon to a Rosie Place, it was emotional, but with time, we've developed such trust with the very loving, compassionate staff here. They bond with the children, they talk with them, they play games with them, they paint with them, so the parents have special take-home projects that their child made over the weekend. You know, they don't treat him like a baby here. They treat him like a little boy. I mean, he's made a lot of friends since he started coming here, and I really appreciate everything of them. And there's nothing, you can't do enough to express your appreciation for someone that takes care of you so well.
Having that relief to know that these people are going to walk out or kick him out because he's crying or the bag comes off. There's no way to say thank you enough.
Part of the deal that gets me every time is the siblings who just with a happy heart are just you know, are the caregivers. And so we obviously provide an experience for the kids, respite for the parents, but we allow the parents to take the other kids to Disney World or Cedar Point or the movie theater that they can't normally do. So it's really an amazing place. There's some of our kiddos. We have 6 bedrooms, 10 beds. That's by design. Anything bigger becomes an institution. We don't really want that. We want to keep it kind of a home experience. We're nature themed because nature never goes out of style. Desert Dreams, one of my favorite stories about Desert Dreams is, you probably can't see it, but there's an iguana on the wall. And we had a girl call a couple of months ago and said, we want them to bring their toys and some pictures, and we want us to be an extension of their house. And they wanted to know if they could bring their pet iguana. We thought that's probably not a good idea. So we said no, but we weren't exactly sure they got the message. So we had to tell the night nurses, look, there may be a pet iguana coming, and if there is, we don't want to know about it. The pet iguana did not show up, which we're thankful for. One of our activities, the one on the upper right with the 2 thumbs up, is something called the car wash. We had a volunteer with PVC pipe and 2 pool noodles create a car wash. Our kids are very sensory active, so they love water. We have waterproof chairs that we push them through the car wash on warm days. So it's pretty cool. Our growth, we won a national award for innovative exemplary respite services. Only 11 organizations across the United States were recognized for this award. And we were one of them in South Bend, Indiana. We've increased the number of nurses and medical support staff by 21. Our credentialed physician team grew from 51 to 82. Our kids don't need to be rounded like in a hospital. When they're at the house, they're running the halls. They're not in their rooms. And so Teal said, you know, instead of having one doctor, God forbid, the child needs medical care when they're with us, one doctor who doesn't know that child's history, why don't we credential the personal physician of the child? So if we need them when they're with us, that doctor knows the history of the child already. So we credentialed quite a few physicians, and our leadership team grew from 2 to 9. Some of the stats that we served the children, it's increased by 44%. 2018, you can see we served 183, 2019, 253, and in 2020, we served 265 children. We shut down for 31 days in the middle of the pandemic. But in those 31 days, our nurses made close to 500 phone calls every day, not 500 every day, but over the course of 31 days to the parents to see how they were doing, if they needed anything, how we could help them. We tried to stay active with them, even through the pandemic. Our major event revenue increased. So our big event is called the Sweethearts Ball. It's a gala, dinner, dancing over Valentine's weekend. We were lucky enough to be, I think, the last event before the world shut down in 2019. We didn't realize that. So we did a virtual event this year and raised all but 9% of the funds from the previous year. And of course, our expenses were less too. So very, very lucky. Our annual appeal has increased 37% in the last 3 years. From January of 2019 to January of 2021, our donor base has also increased by 32.2%. And our social media presence grew 52% on the platforms, with, of course, Facebook being the largest. But we try to meet the families where they are, and social media is a good place. There's one of our little nuggets. We're very open about our finances. It costs $2.6 million to build a Rosie Place for children. As you saw, we're on 5 acres in a residential neighborhood, $50,000. We've raised over $11 million to date. The budget this year is just over $1.5 million, so I can't talk for long. I got to go because I'm pretty busy, obviously. The foundation's goal is half government funding and half philanthropy, and that is you don't want to rely too heavily on one or the other. Right now, we're at about 25 government funding, 75% philanthropy. There's a reason for that, and Teal can speak to that in a second, but because our children are so unique, the state really didn't recognize them. We'd call the state and say, hey, there's got to be some funding. They said, not for your kids. And Teal said, I don't think you understand what a medically fragile child is. So you may be seeing a theme here. Teal doesn't take no for an answer. She said, we're coming down. So on a Tuesday, she walked down and went, we're here. Got a meeting with the state, invited the state up to spend a couple of days with our kids. And before the state left, they said, we get it, we can help. So we're just now starting to get some government funding. Rosie Place has 0 debt, which we're also very, very proud of, obviously. Rhonda and one of our little nuggets. So as we look to the future of a Rosie Place, Reach Every Family campaign, that's why I am here, just to let people know about Rosie Place. You could do us a favor and tell 2 people about what you saw today. That would be great. We just, in our 6 northern counties, there are 2,500 families that can use our services. As I mentioned, we are licensed for the entire state. So we've got just under 300 registered. So there are still a lot of families that can use what we do. Formal partnerships developed with universities through our classes. Around work developing student-led organizations, very, very successful for us. And we want to build Rosie Places across the nation. We get calls all the time from people saying, how can we do this somewhere else? We're thinking in Indiana, probably Indianapolis is going to be the next possible place. But Teal wants to just kind of build a playbook, publish a playbook that we can give to other organizations to help out. One of our kids, and now I'm going to introduce Teal because this is her favorite part. She's here for, well, the lemon cake and the questions. So come on up. In that order, as a matter of fact. I know you. Our CEO, ladies and gentlemen, Teal Bishop with questions.
And King Mini, extra lemon cake. Thank you for having me here today. Go. I love this part. Yes.
How often can families be licensed?
It's a great question. Up to about 14 to 15 days a year. One of the things that I absolutely love about what we do and how we've designed what we do is that really that's a number that's moving all the time, right? Because lives aren't that static. You can't just say 14 days and that works for everybody. So that's generally about the number of time or number of days they can stay with us. But we had a mother who needed surgery. She needed time to recover. Nobody to watch her child. Needed to lay flat for 7 straight days. So we said, great, let us take him. And so we've scheduled that out. He'll be coming in August. And so he'll go past his 14 days already, but that's okay because our goal is to really just say yes, and we can.
Prior to COVID, we had 3, 5, 7, and 10-day stays. Obviously with COVID, we had to kind of readjust some things. And so during COVID, we asked the parents what they needed, and they wanted day stays. So we have day stays now, 2 days a week, and still weekend stays. But we cut down on the 5, 7, and 10-day stays because of the different types of nurse rotations we'd have to have. The potential for exposure to the kiddos was too great. So if we kept it just a weekend stay, we could keep the shifts to a minimal and still have them for day stays. So we're hopefully, as we're all meeting here today, right, we're getting back to some sort of normal, and we are chomping at the bit because the families need us. That we're trying to get back to some sort of normal 3, 5, 7, 10-day stay. So
Is there a wait list for getting in, and how popular are you?
We're pretty popular. There is not really a wait list yet, but we're knocking on the door there, which is why we're looking at, what other market could potentially hold a Rosie Place for children. That would be Indianapolis. We already have kids coming from Indianapolis, Valpo, Maryville, and then some all the way from Fort Wayne. So serving all 92 counties was very intentional. We can't have this gift and this amazing thing in our state and not share it. And families are more than happy to drive as far as they need to drive because there is no other option for them. The option is the hospital or no option. And so we wanted to become that alternative. So It is pretty popular. We like to ask families to make reservations. Kids have dubbed us a hotel for kids, and we let them do that because we love that idea. So, yes.
How do families qualify, so to speak, right? Because there are respite places for autism and maybe not as fragile.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
Great question. So throughout Indiana, there are a few respites. A lot of them are for children with special needs. So our population is the 10% of special needs children that have a medical component. How do they qualify for us, or why did we develop this, is really to answer that call. Places like in our community, we have a Logan Center, which is an amazing organization, been around for 70 years now. I won't be saying that 70 years because I probably won't be here, but in 70 years, they'll be saying that about us, but it's for the population that has a medical component. So the goal is to serve those children. We always want to say yes, right? But realistically, we know for every yes, there's a no. So our yeses go to the children that have a medical component. If the family wonders, do we qualify? Call us, just call us. Our goal again is to say yes, whether it's high medical complex needs like a ventilator to breathe, or whether it's a low need. Let's say we have a child who's a brittle diabetic and they do fabulous until you don't check their sugar every 2 hours properly, and then we could lose them within the next few hours. So it's a very, it's vast, it's a huge array. I always say if people wonder, just call. Again, our goal is to say yes, look at every family in unique cases, right? Case by case basis, because not everybody fits into one mold. Yes, sir, in the back. Another awesome question. So we were just talking about this on the way over. I had met a couple living in our community, and she was a brittle diabetic. Her husband and her had lived in this community for years and years. His name was Myron Noble. He developed Valmont Industries out of Plymouth, and he wanted to honor his wife, and her name was Rosemary. So we went to dinner one night. And he's like, "What's that going to take me to name it after her?" And I said, $1 million. And he said, "Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk soon." Well, she called me the next morning and said, "We would love to do that gift for you." So we came up with a creative way to incorporate her name, and that's where A Rosy Place for Children came. Yes, sir.
What do the parents do when they drop their child off?
All the stories I have heard. Some take naps and pay bills.
Right.
Some go to the movies and go to dinner. Most of the families, it's not real extraordinary. It's things that you and I get to do every single day. They just don't. So for them, it's awesome and extraordinary. One of the best compliments I feel like we got was 2019, so before 2020, we had a couple that had been married for 25 years, and they have not one, but 2 fragile children. And they said, "Would you take the girls for 2 weeks so we could go away for our anniversary? We have not been on a vacation since we had children." So we were able to take both girls. We kept them for 14 days. And it was awesome. We were able to FaceTime them. They went all the way to Hawaii. And I thought, what a compliment that is to us and what we're able to provide for them, to have the confidence in us to leave, go all the way to Hawaii and know that they would be cared for. So.
We had a family a couple of weeks ago. We said, "What are you doing? Anything fun?" She said, "Sleeping for 8 hours at a time." So we said, "That's fun."
Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for having us. Again, we appreciate being here. What we would ask of you is, like Mark said, please go tell someone about what you heard today. Our goal is to start spreading awareness. We've not really put any dollars toward marketing whatsoever. So we're utilizing all of you and these experiences to go tell other families. They're in every county, in every city across our entire Indiana. In our northern 6 counties, there's over 2,000. Did you catch that number in there? 2,000 families. We've got a lot of work to do.
I got one related question, I'm sorry. Are you set up to take matching contributions for corporations?
We are.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much. If you're ever in South Bend, you're gonna come see us. Come see what we've done. Yeah, it's awesome. You won't be disappointed.
That's right.
Listen to one another.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What blessings you are. All right, next week we will have Ryan Smiley. He's the president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Northwest Indiana. Tomorrow is our last Rotary chat, so tune in at 7. I'll be sending the link out if you'd like to join us on Zoom. Now, if you would stand and join me in the 4-way test.
Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Is it fun?
Thank you. Have a great week.